once again. Hope you enjoyed your break and got to meet some interesting folks during the speed networking session. I am very privileged to be joined by Vish, CRO at Esper. He is going to be focusing on pipeline quality and your lack of focus on it. Vish, very excited to have you here. Looking forward to hearing your talk.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Gary, and absolutely happy to be here. So let me jump straight into the material. So hey, everyone, just to quickly introduce myself, my name is Vishwanath. I've been with Esper, which is a SaaS company based out of Seattle for the last 2.5 years. I joined them right post their Series A in 2020. So Esper is into Android DevOps and MDM, which is any company having a lot of Android devices, such as smartphones, kiosks, or tablets. They manage their platform. They manage the devices out of our cloud platform. Some of the big names include Taco Bell and Climber in US, for example. Okay, so I started as the first RevOps hire in this company, setting up the sales and finance operations. And I've also been involved in marketing operations and CS operations to some extent. And prior to Esper, I've worked in various different sectors and functions, as you can see in the screen, for about 10 years. And a lot of these different functions have given me a very good perspective, and all of that has come very handy in my current RevOps role at Esper. Okay, so I'm going to be focusing on the pipeline data quality, and let's look at the fundamentals on why it is very important. So pipeline is actually the tangible and articulated representation of sales process in CRM. So it is nothing but the snapshot of the sales process into the CRM. And pipeline by itself is also very useful input into forecasting and sales planning. So a healthy pipeline reflects very well on the sales process and how it's snapshotted, whereas a healthy forecast reflects very well on the consistency of the sales process and the consistency by which we are snapshotting as a pipeline. Just a quick point. When I say a healthy pipeline and forecasting, from a sales point of view, a healthy pipeline just means are we hitting our targets? But from a RevOps standpoint, I'm talking about whether the pipeline is actually capturing all the key attributes of the sales process very well or not. Okay, so let's dig in further. So what constitutes a very good pipeline quality? So from the sales point of view, it's about data hygiene. You have quantitative and qualitative variables such as stage amount, close date, meeting notes, next steps, and there is a sales alignment and cadence which happens across teams, across sales motions to ensure that all the sales teams are aligned with regard to all of these different factors which are captured in the pipeline, and that's pretty much the sales perspective. Now, the RevOps point of view is about the pipeline in consideration for something like forecasting. So where do we actually define the starting and the end of the pipeline is a very important factor. For example, while sales might start off with prospecting at the discovery stage, we typically experience that at the discovery stage, the amount of an opportunity might be $100,000. A stage or two down the line, it ends up as something like $30,000. So consistency and quality is pretty much where the pipeline in consideration actually begins from a RevOps perspective. And also, for example, if an opportunity is part of the pipeline, is it actually in the pipeline? Is it active or is it dormant? Even though it might be part of the entire pipeline closing this quarter. So again, these are just some points that we are scratching on the surface, and let's just go one level deeper. So the way I've experienced pipeline, so there are different levels of pipeline in the CRM that we've seen, So the first level is all pipeline data that the sales enters into the CRM. And a subset of that is reviewed weekly or bi-weekly for all the deals which are, let's say, closing for this month or for this quarter. And finally, from the RevOps perspective, when we are looking at forecasting, we still need to subset a portion of the active pipeline to say that, hey, what is the portion of the pipeline that we need to be taking for forecasting? So just as an example, we used to actively mark some of these opportunities as active or dormant, and then subset the pipeline and forecast on that. And later we took that back to the sales leadership, and they decided that, hey, let's not do that. Let's just proactively remove a lot of these opportunities which are not really active, or maybe they have gone cold. So the level 2 and 3 that we see were effectively combined into a single level, and that actually reduced a lot of our effort. So the 3 levels of pipeline that I've shown, ideally we can combine them to 2 or even 1 level if that's possible. And once the pipeline is determined for forecasting, we still need to understand what is the data representation. Meaning, if there are 20 different factors which influence the forecast, what are those crucial 3 or 4 different factors which are very, very important, because factor analysis by itself is a big subject in statistics, but from a business standpoint, if we identify those, let's say, 3 or 4 factors, we really need to focus on ensuring that they are being snapshotted consistently with good quality across time for the forecasting to be effective. Okay, let's take a look at an example. So here you see a picture of a clear water lake. So the sales process represents the currents in the lake, and how stable or how chaotic those currents are. The pipeline is basically the water in the lake, and the quality of the pipeline is nothing but how clear or turbid the water is. And the forecast is nothing but the bottom of the lake and how visible it is. So if you have a very stable and consistent sales motion, the water is going to be really clear and you can see the bottom. If you have a really inconsistent and chaotic sales motion, it's possible that the sales might close the quarter with flying colors, but from a RevOps standpoint, it's not really helpful with regard to forecasting and predictability.